Hello and welcome to the Cardiac Cats YouTube channel. I'm your host, Jacob Shorba, and we're here to recap Week 13, where the Jacksonville Jaguars put up a valiant effort at the end of this game. Down 23-6, figured this game was just going to be a blowout, right? A lot of other things you could say about it, too. We're going to get into that. But charged back late in the game, looked like they had a shot. Offense was on fire and just couldn't get the ball back, right? What's new, right? This is other than the offense scoring, I guess, because that was the first touchdown since the first drive against Minnesota in Week 10, I think. So it's pretty rough, but here we are, right? A lot to talk about here. The first thing we're going to discuss, because we have to start with this, is the hit on Trevor Lawrence in this game. It was a terrible hit, simple way of putting it. And the player that did it, he got ejected. He should have been ejected. He probably shouldn't play for a while. And you could leave it pretty simply there. But, you know, there's all the talk about, should Trevor Lawrence have been in this game, right? We just recorded a video last night talking about this. And I do want to clarify thoughts on that, because I think a lot of people are looking at this like, well, he was hurt. He shouldn't be on the field, and now he got hurt again. The injury that he had before, as far as I know, right? Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think it correlates at all, because it's a concussion, right? Compared to an AC joint injury on his left shoulder. They're not things that really correlate at all. And so when we're saying don't play him, the risk more so, because you're always going to have the risk of just getting a normal injury of some sort, or a concussion like today. But we were more concerned about hurting that shoulder more, doing more damage, because it's already, he's got broken bone there. Like, you don't want to do more to that, right? You already got him hurt. You don't want to make that worse and then jeopardize maybe next season. This is a little bit different, because these two injuries don't correlate. And point of saying that is that if he was fully healthy and he didn't have the AC joint injury in his left shoulder, he still gets a concussion, right? So it doesn't really matter. I still don't agree with the logic of putting him out there. I think if he needs surgery on that, get it done now, because the season's over, right? And it officially is over at this point. I don't know if it's 100% official. I know some people are saying that, but I know Jacksonville cannot win the division now. And I believe it came down to the Chargers and the Broncos games. If they win, Jacksonville cannot make it in, but I'm pretty sure it's over, guys. Like, regardless of whether it's official, we're not talking about the playoffs. It's over. But here we are, right? It's a shitty situation, what happened in the game, and it just kind of adds to a lot of our thoughts about the Texans, and, you know, hate all our division rivals, of course, but it's a dirty move, what happened on the field. And it has no place in this sport. You're not saying you can't be physical, but when you're lining up hits like that and you're hitting people who are clearly sliding, and you can see pictures where Lawrence is going down almost 5 yards before he would get to Al-Shaair. And he goes down and sends his elbow into his neck, head slams on the ground, and he's out of the game. Knocked out. Like, that's not acceptable. There's one thing to be physical, there's one thing to be a cheating bastard, and you can't do that kind of stuff. So that's where I'm going to leave that, right? I could have a big rant on here. It's shitty what happened is a simple way of putting it. But talking about the rest of this game, you know, we'll talk about Trevor Lawrence a little bit more here. 4 out of 10, 41 yards, 1 interception. He just didn't look good today. And I'm not going to read into that much, because he didn't play for a couple weeks. He had the shoulder injury that impacts how he plays a little bit. And this team they're toast at this point, right? They were toast before the game. They're still toast now. So I'm not going to sit here and make like big conclusions from this, like, wow, terrible contract, he's awful quarterback. We're not going to do that here. But it is somewhat concerning, and you wanted to see him play well, but he didn't. And to be fair, you know, C.J. Stroud struggled early in the game, too. He had some, you know, fine play after that. A lot of receivers wide open. You had the touchdown to Dalton Schultz, where there's no one on that side of the field. But that's kind of what happens when you have this bad of a defense. And not that everyone's bad. Our linebackers are great, but It's a lot of concerns, and he had even another injury to Tyson Campbell in this game, which really blows, and you're getting kind of sick of seeing that at this point. But for Mac Jones, had some pretty bad misses early on, but stepped up late in this game, helped the team charge back. You had some big play from Parker Washington, Brian Thomas Jr. also having another good game. Shout out to Evan Ingram for being the guy to defend his quarterback after the hit. Appreciate that. We see that. But yeah, overall, you saw some exciting play from those guys, but it's weird. Mac Jones, it's good to see that. He's probably not a long-term part of this team, realistically. Maybe he comes back, but, he's the backup quarterback for 1 year. And for Parker Washington, you hope that he's going to be the slot guy in the future. That's the goal. That's what we want to see, and we saw a really good game from him, and really exciting to see that because I think this is his biggest performance in his career. So, good stuff for the most part. Run game wasn't great today. It was okay, but we've gotten pretty used to that at this point. On the defensive side of things, Josh Allen getting a sack in this game, Trayvon Walker as well. Both of them getting involved, but just not a whole lot from these guys, right? This is not a team that generates turnovers. It's not a team that gets the quarterback enough, and they make life pretty easy for opposing offenses. And unfortunately, you saw that at the very end of the game and in the third quarter as well, when this game really started to get out of hand at that point. But, this is where we are. This is where we are right now. Cam Little also missed a field goal. I'm going to be honest, guys. A little distracted during the game. Had a lot going on. Had family over watching the Vikings game as well, so I missed the field goal miss. Obviously, that factors in a lot, so I'll have to go watch that back. But it's unfortunate. Cam Little's had a really good year outside of a couple misses, and I think he's got a bright future, but it hurts. It's a 3-point difference. Now, flip side of this, right? Because this is a game, I'm just going to be honest, I was really torn on what I wanted to happen. If I wanted Jacksonville to win or to lose or what, and you don't want to root for your team to lose, but you get in situations like this where we're seeing the contract extension this morning. We're wondering if Trent Baalke's going to stick around. That part of it's a disaster. But Jacksonville was 3 points away from winning this game. The problem, if they had won, right? Sure. Las Vegas, New York Giants don't matter as much. The only reason you want them behind you in this order is because you can trade back with them. And that's ideally what you want to take place. However, if you had won today, you're now sitting at 3-9. If you had lost out the rest of the year, you're still most likely picking behind the New England Patriots. And that's not good because New England is not getting a quarterback. They're going for the best player. And for all the people who want Travis Hunter, which I know some people disagreed, a lot of people were saying tackle, which, to be fair, now you're not saying that. There's no point to it unless you think you're going to draft Will Campbell as a guard in the first round. I don't think you're doing that where we're picking. But, yeah, it's a concern because I think that's the clear option for this team, the clear best one. I also love Abdul Carter a ton, Will Johnson a ton. They're still a step below for me. But you look at New England's remaining schedule, and this is where things get a little scary. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but we're just going to talk about it. Next game, against the Cardinals. It's always possible with how crazy the Cardinals are, but you talk about after that, you got 2 games against the Bills, and you got a game against the Chargers, who are having a really good year. So, I don't know if New England wins in their game. Drake May could have some great performance to will them to a victory that, otherwise they shouldn't have. But at this point, you're expecting New England to lose out. And Jacksonville is now in a spot where you have to lose the rest of these games if you want to have your say in who you get in the draft. Because if you don't, New England's probably picking above you. You got a lot of other teams here too with 3 wins. New York Jets, lost again today. The Tennessee Titans, we're going to have to play them. That's going to be the scary thing because now you got to get swept by them if you're going to hold on to that pick. Carolina, they played close to Kansas City, but every team does. I know it's a Super Bowl champion, but every game with Kansas City. is a close game. Regardless of how bad your team is, you're going to play close to them. Jacksonville would probably do the same. But these are your competitors. And so it's getting a little scary. You hope for Jacksonville's sake, if you're fully in tank mode, which, hey, we're eliminated from the playoffs. That's over at this point. You hope you lose out, and you hope you get the first overall pick. We'll see what happens, but yeah, that's the situation there. We'll show PFF grades really quick, too. This is immediately after the game, so this will be updated. Some of these changed drastically. I've seen some go from like a 60 to an 80, so a lot of things can get switched around. We'll try to get blockers on here, too, so you can see offensive line play. So, good game from Ezra Cleveland. Brandon Scherf as well. Walker Little having a solid game. This is a lot of what you see from this offensive line, though. Above average pass blocking and negligible run blocking. That's what they've always been. And then on the defensive side, said earlier, great game from the linebackers. You got an awesome group of guys here. Devin Lloyd, Foye Oluokun, and then, Ventrell Miller also playing pretty well most of the time, even though PFF doesn't reflect that. You appreciate you have those guys. I know a lot of people debate who's the starter, who needs to go to the bench and all that, but I'm just happy we got them all. But yeah, that's kind of what we got from this game. It's, once again, shitty what happened to Trevor Lawrence. Hope he's okay. I hope they don't play him next week at this point. If you're eliminated officially, get the damn surgery done. I don't think there's a point to messing around with this. Have him healthy for the next guy. Let's rebuild in the offseason. Let's do what we can and go from there. But that's all I've got, guys. I appreciate y'all joining. I want to shout out our channel members really quick. Terminator Sarah 904, Mr. Dolphin, and Scrubber Ducky 500, and Brian Foster. Appreciate y'all supporting me. If any of you guys want to sign up for a channel membership, all the info's here. You can ask me about it in the comments too. And if you got any thoughts on the game, let me know down below, and I'll make sure to get back to you. But that's all I have. And finally, go Jags.